already begin with the Azure Active Directory, and in our last video we understand and know that how we can create those users groups in Azure Active Directory to use for further purposes. Now I think you might have questions in your mind that, all right, so now we know how to create users, but where we are going to use them? Right? Obviously, most of you are aware that, hey, whenever you have any application, you can use those users to assign application to access resources, etc. Obviously, these are the possible ways you can use users in Azure Active Directory. But apart from that, what else we can do? What else we have options? So today in this video, we are going to talk more about that, how you can use the power of Azure Active Directory and the use of users in a actual real world. Hello guys, my name is HarshArena, and in this video we are going to cover 3 different topics, and these are the major topics on which we are going to cover moreover practical today. Number 1, we are going to talk about Azure Active Directory User Management, although there are lots of other features are there, but today in specific, we are going to talk more on self-service passwords. These are specific service used by Azure Active Directory for all the users. Although, let me just give you a little bit more information, then I will move to the next topic. So Azure Active Directory User Management is a very important for every administrators, because whenever they have to handle lots of people in the organization, they might receive, and they should, and I think most of you already receive lots of requests from the users. Hey, I forgot my password, please help me to change it or update it or reset it. Because if you remember in our last video in AZ-104 certification, we have actually logged in with the brand new user, and initially at a very first step, as soon as we type the password, is ask us to change our password at next logon or the first logon, right? So when we type the password, it shows the next window where we have to type the old password, which is the temporary or initially set password, and then change it to new. That was the option. So basically, that's how most of the users, when they logged into the first time, they have privileges to change their password. But what about after that? In case you forgot your password, you have 2 options. Either the request will come to you and you're going to change the password for the users, or you will allow your users to change your own passwords. So you have to decide that how do you want to configure. Obviously, you have choices whether you want to allow everyone to change their password, or you want to allow a specific group or a specific users to change their password. But guys, this is not exactly mentioned in some of the documentation. Obviously in Microsoft official documentation, it is mentioned that if you want to enable this self-service password feature, then you need to purchase a subscription, which is a Azure AD Premium subscription or Enterprise E5 subscription. Remember this, because that is going to be very much helpful when you are trying to enable this service for you. So guys, yeah, actually this video is a part of our previous video. So before to move forward to the next topic, let's talk about more on self-service, and obviously with the practical. So guys, let's begin. To enable self-service password feature in Azure Active Directory, the very first step is, guess what? You have to log into Azure portal. Obviously, you are aware, I'm pretty sure. So the first thing first, you have to find Azure Active Directory, and definitely you can find it in your recent items, which is right like me, because we have done the practice in our last video where we have created our users. Otherwise, you can also go to search bar and search for Azure Active Directory. And as soon as you find it, just go to this particular service, and under this service, the very first thing I would like to show you that current license I have is Azure Active Directory Premium P2 license. Because if you remember in our last video, we have tried to create a user, and that time I showed that if you like to enable conditional access like features or like a little bit advanced features, then you have to make sure you must have Azure AD Premium features, or I mean license. If you don't have this, then you are not able to do those practices. Similarly, to enable self-service password feature, you must have Azure AD Premium P2 license. Now, question is, for a free, like if I'm using a trial Azure account, how I'm going to enable it. So guys, where do you find this information and option? Let me show you. So to enable self-service password, the very first step is click on users right on the left hand side. As soon as you click on users, you can find all the users we have created in our last video. So after that, obviously, if the very first thing, in case you have a compliance implement and definitely your organization don't want your users to change or reset their password, then what they have to do, they have to send a request to your Azure administrator, and Azure administrator has to review the request and approve it. As soon as he approve it, for let's say, take an example, Harsh user 1, then he has to select the user, or he can search from the users if you have thousands of users. Then as soon as he select the user, he just click on reset password. So as soon as you click on reset password, on the right hand side, it will ask you, are you sure you want to go ahead with the reset password? So he's resetting password. So what you have to do, you have to provide this temporary password to Harsh user 1. Now, when this user is going to log in again, then he has to log in first with this temporary password and then give the full-fledged whatever the password the user want to set. Because that's exactly we have done in our last video in AZ-104 where we have created users and then logged in for the first time. I hope you get my whole idea here. Now, other thing, now if you don't want that you have like thousands of users and you don't want that these users or some of the user they can set the password by their own, then where are the step or where you have to change your settings? So guys, for that you have to click on password reset on the left hand side under users. Now here, as you can see, by default it is set to none. And yeah, very important, and I forgot to mention about it, because if you're doing this thing for the first time, you are going to see a very different information here. As soon as you click on password reset, it will ask you, in case if you are using Azure Active Directory free license, it asks you to purchase or enable a trial Azure Active Directory Premium P2 license for this specific tenant. So if you don't enable it, you won't find this feature or you won't find this information right here. I think you get my point, and it is very important because by default, if you have Azure AD, and I highly recommend all of you to do the practice, you can enable this E5 license for 90 days, which includes Azure AD Premium P2 as well. So I think you should do it as soon as you click on password reset under users. Now, to make you understand better about the self-service password reset feature, that how you're going to select for a specific user, because by default it is disabled, which is a recommended features or recommended settings from Microsoft. But if you want to enable it for a certain people, either you click on selected here, you can select a whole group, like take an example, I'm going to select a marketing group. Obviously it's not a good idea, but if you want, you can do that. So now all the users under this group can change their password anytime they want under password self-service password settings. Now, if you want to enable it for all, just click all. That's all. Now, these settings can be only and only set by Azure administrator. That's it. No other users can allow to change these settings. But if you ask me, in a common practice, this is set to none. Even for the stakeholders or even for the higher management, whenever they forgot their password, although they don't, but in case they do, then they have to send a request or at least inform the admins, and then they will just immediately reset the password, which I already showed you how they can do that. But again, you should know as an administrator where you're going to change or update these password settings. I think you get a whole idea, right? So this is what I would like to show you. Another thing for the sign in, as soon as users has been signed in, obviously the common practice to know where the users has been signed in or what was the request has been performed, you can just click on sign in under users. Here you can find out all the information, whether it was succeeded or it was failed, because based on that you can analyze. Maybe it could be a ransomware attack, or it could be hacking attack within your organization, or maybe an unknown location, because this user always logged into a specific location. As an example, I'm currently sitting in Chandigarh, so my location is Chandigarh, but maybe this user currently trying to log in from Hong Kong, as an example, or North Korea, or US, or maybe some other places. So obviously you should be aware, and you should inform to a specific user, hey, are you in Chandigarh or you moved to any other location? Because if it is moved to any other location, that's fine. Otherwise, it could be a kind of attack within your organization. Then you could be aware about those information. And currently, obviously, we have not configured multi-factor authentication. We logged in with a single factor authentication. So such information you can find out easily. And obviously, if the developers you have, they can prepare a specific script or an application to use more information based on application ID, user ID. I'm not going to go deep into that, but just to tell you that here in the sign in, you can find additional information which is going to be helpful to you. I mean, all of the administrator should be aware and should keep review this information in case they find time, because it is really going to be helpful to them. Maybe they can find something suspicious. That's how I found once in my career. So, all right, guys. So this is all about self-service password reset, which is a very easy process. You won't find any difficulty for sure. Now let's jump to the next step, which is device management, and it is gonna be interesting to you. I'm sure you're gonna be very much excited to do this device kind of settings. Don't worry, we'll do it right now, right away. So let's jump into understanding what we are going to do first. Now let's talk about Azure Active Directory device management. Guys, this feature is really, really good, especially for those people who would really want to understand that why we have created users in Azure Active Directory. Now, this could help you to understand more about that, how you can take advantage of Azure Active Directory and those users you have created in our previous practices. So guys, in the organization, whenever we talk about user creation, the purpose of this user is to log in to the devices assigned to these all different people in the organization. For example, software engineers, like Azure administrator, for example, like me, stakeholders. So all of these three different kind of people have different access of their resources, I mean application, but they keep taking their device anywhere in the world, because nowadays people are roaming around, and whenever they sit in any office, any cafeteria, in a Starbucks or any other place, they can easily log into their user account and access to their resources. Now, to achieve that, device management could help them, and always this is the first step to set up their devices successfully so that they can log in with their user accounts. Now, to make you better understand about device management, the first thing first, you need to understand this term that Azure Active Directory device management could actually analyze device settings and then help you to join machines to Azure AD. Now, where you can find this, because in the past, in Active Directory, we have a small environment on premises, and all these machines are connected to each other because they usually connected to a specific switch where all these IP addresses could communicate with each other. For example, 10.0.0.1 could easily communicate with 10.0.0.2. Similarly, if you are running Azure Active Directory and you have configured Azure VMs in this whole Active Directory, or you can say Azure Active Directory, these are able to communicate with each other. Now, let me give you one example, I think, to avoid you put you in any confusion. So as an example here, I have Azure Active Directory, right? So in this Azure Active Directory, I have created user 1, 2, and 3, right? So Azure 1 have access of one application. Azure 2, oh sorry, not Azure 2. User 2. Guys, this is 11 p.m. not so late, but still I'm kind of feeling sleepy, so you can imagine, right? So apologize for this mistake. So it's a user 1, not Azure 1. So user 1, user 2, and user 3. And for user 3, I have 3 application access. But as an example, in this specific example, I have only one machine, because here you can see I have a Windows machine, right? So I have actually created this machine in Azure, not on premises in right now this example. So basically this machine is joined to Azure Active Directory, and now we can log in with user 1 to this machine successfully without any issue, and you can do that. As soon as it logged in, it can show you only one application because that much resources is assigned to user 1. Now user 1 job has been finished, and now user 2 came and it just logged in with his own username and the password. Now this username, or I mean user 2, has access of 2 applications. On the same machine, this guy can see 2 application access. Similarly, for user 3, as soon as user 2 logged out, you can see access of 3 applications for user 3. Now, to make you understand that why I give you this example, it means that if you joined machines to Azure Active Directory, this machine can be logged in with any user account without any issue. And that's how you are managing your devices, because not only that, now this device is going to be managed by Azure Active Directory, and where you can see those information, I will show you. Don't worry. So I think you get my point, but to give you the whole review, you can connect your machines to Azure Active Directory by using this capability. You are able to log in with your user 1, user 2, or any other user successfully from anywhere, because Azure Active Directory is a Microsoft cloud-based solution or service. It means the user can be access their resources from anywhere, right? So here are some of the advantages I have mentioned, that the user can sign in. I'm talking about user sign in with Azure AD user accounts, access anywhere, which I already explained. Obviously, second thing I already shared, that access resources based on assigned authentication or authorization. Obviously, authentication means whether the user has been signed with a single factor authentication or multi-factor authentication, and based on that, based on authorization, the user has permission to access their resources or application. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And similarly, right now, whenever you are trying to log in Office 365, it is pretty easy to set up your Office 365, Office application, which means I'm talking about Word, Excel, PowerPoint, because as soon as you logged in with your username, it will automatically recognize that your Office application has been successfully installed. And there you can see, oh, you have installed this Office application on this device, which is managed by, or actually behind the scene managed by, Azure Active Directory, but it actually show you in Office 365 portal. Don't worry, before to jump in Azure Active Directory, I will show you what is my meaning when we talk about Office 365. So guys, what we are going to do today and right now, the overall practice or the practical for today is we are going to create an Azure virtual machine, and there we have a very much specific setting we have to choose during the creation. What it actually helps us to immediately join our machine directly to Azure AD. I will show you where you can do that. And apart from that, I will also show you, we have created a user account within Azure Active Directory, and we are going to sign in successfully in that machine. And how you're going to achieve that, I will show you, because as I mentioned, most of the organization actually moved their on-premises client machines to Azure Cloud or any other cloud platform. So you should know in Azure how you actually access those machines and how you can log in using Azure AD user accounts. So guys, let's move forward. Before to move forward into creation of Azure VM and then join to Azure AD, I would like to show you first that how Office 365 is gonna help you to manage your devices, that on which devices you have actually installed your VM. That's exactly I was talking about, the device management from Azure AD. So guys, currently I'm logged in with the Office 365 place, and here you can see this is the default screen. As soon as you click on my account, which is right here, you can open and see this information, right? And here we have called device, and I clicked on all devices. So here in all devices, you can see, is asking for send a notification. So let me join first, guys, because after I approve, and I just approved in my authenticator service, as soon as it is logged in, and here you can find out all of my devices are showing right here, that where I have installed in my, I'm in Office 365 application, where I've installed in my Silicon PC, which is Mac Mini. This is a ARM virtual machine. Rishu PC, this is another my Surface Pro 3 I have installed, and my desktop beast, which is not yet received from China. It is on the way. But just to show you that these are the device information, and here I click on manage. Now this is exactly managed by Azure Active Directory behind the scene. All right, because here you can find out what was the operating system name and whether you required a security protection or not. And even though if you want to enable the Find My Device feature, you can enable it based on current subscription I have for Office 365. But I think you get my overall point, that these devices is currently managed by Azure AD behind the scene, but on the front end side, Office 365 application is helping me to manage all of these devices. So guys, right now this is another example. This is purely on the application side, but let's jump to the Azure portal and try to learn that how you can actually make your Azure virtual machine joined with the Azure AD automatically, and later how you can use to access your account within those machines. But before to do that, I would like to tell you that we have created some user, and you must create some users within Azure Active Directory first. Now, in our case, just to quickly go through, we have created certain users, and I will keep something in my mind. I'm going to use hj@harsharena.in to log in into that machine successfully. And then where you're going to see all of these machine under this default directory or default Active Directory. So obviously on the left hand side, you can find devices, right? So as soon as I click on devices, you can find all of Azure joined devices. Currently, obviously, there are no machines being configured because I have not configured yet any of this machine. So let's go a little bit in detail. But before that, I would like to also show you device settings, that what kind of information you can see under device settings. So first, users may join devices to Azure AD. Yeah, you can select all or either some of them, because it could not a good practice that you want to allow everyone to join your virtual machine or their virtual machine to Azure AD, because sometimes it is not required. So if in your organization, if certain group of people need to join their Azure AD, especially the Azure VM administrators, then it is fine. And then you can do one thing, you can select their group and only those members can do that. Otherwise, if you don't want anyone to allow, you can simply click none and save. By default is all, which is absolutely fine with me. There is no problem. Users may register their devices with the Azure AD. Yeah, I think it's fine because by default it's already all selected, so it is easy and they can do that. Devices to be Azure AD joined for Azure AD register required multi-factor authentication. Now guys, today we are not going to touch this feature, because in our next video, I will tell you what exactly the advantage of using multi-factor authentication and how you're going to configure it. As soon as we learn and understand multi-factor authentication, then you can simply enable it, because it is required. It is really an important part of a security deployment for your Azure AD joined machine, because if you are not using multi-factor authentication, then anyone without any specific authorization, they can join their Azure AD. However, I'm not going to talk more on this specific setting, but I think you get my point. Once we learn about multi-factor authentication in our next video, this is going to be really helpful to you. I think we are pretty much clear about all the settings that we need for device management. Now let's go to home and go to virtual machines first. In the virtual machine, what we are going to do, we are going to follow the same process, create a new virtual machine. So I click on virtual machine, add virtual machine. As soon as I click add, so it is going to start creating our virtual machine like this. So first thing first, choose your subscription, and I'm going to do it a little bit fast because I don't want you to waste your time. You already spent time on creating these virtual machine. This is the name of my resource group and name of the virtual machine. I will give Windows 10 English session AD join. Any name you like to give, it's all up to you. English join because when I created a video for Hindi session, then I would like to show them that I have joined already one of the machine. Anyway, so this is the name already given, and now I'm going to choose where I would like to give or create into the region. This is my East US2, and after that choose the image. I have already choose the right image, Windows 10 Pro, because when you want to join, actually you can join your servers, you can join your client, but basically I keep in my mind about that client operating system where specifically created for all the people, and all the application has been configured based on profiles or authorization given to those users account. So right now this is correct, and I don't want Azure Spot instance. I will talk about this feature. It's a great new feature and it can help you to save your cost, your money. All right, so next is give the username. I give HarshArena would be better, admin, and then the password. So you can give any password you like. I give this password, which I think it's fine. It's a little bit long, but not bad. I think long password is always good, right? Now guys, if you want to connect this machine via any remote desktop application, just like we are going to do today, you need to allow RDP 3389 port number. Right now, today, we are not going to talk about security application or inbound, outbound settings, but indeed it is very important for security purpose. And obviously it is not a good idea to simply enable it, but today for this practice it is fine, no problem. So obviously I confirm the license and everything. So instead of click on review and create, we will go to next in disks. Obviously it's fine for the disk. I am fine with that. Go to next networking. Now it is also fine. I'm not going to touch anything. Now important thing is under management. So as soon as you click on next, here we have an option called where it is, let's find out. Login with Azure AD. So guys, this is the thing, this is the setting, you have to enable it. And you have to keep in your mind, if you enable it and if you want to log in with your Azure AD accounts, you must give RBAC, or we called it IAM, or role-based access control, which is again a part of identity and access control. I will show you this settings. Virtual machine administrator login or virtual machine user login access. So if you do not give access to any one of them, the user is not able to log in into the machine. And I will show you what kind of settings or what kind of errors it can show you and what kind of settings you have to do. So time zone, obviously currently I'm in India. So I'm going to choose India here. So Chennai, Kolkata, which is fine. If you don't want to choose, it's up to you. Now we can click on review and create and wait for this machine to be created. And as soon as this machine is ready, then I will show you what would be the next step to move forward and how you can log in with your Azure AD account successfully. Because prior to that, I'm going to log in with my normal desktop or HarshArena admin user account, which we have actually touched very beginning, which is right here, because it is a local administrator account and we are going to use it, right? So let's click on review and create and wait for this deployment to be completed successfully, because it may take some time. I think approximate 3 to 4 minutes, and I think it's not a good idea to keep you waiting. So I will just click on create, and obviously now finally we are going to wait for deployment. I think guys, you are getting a little bit interest to understand and to know, because as an administrator, these old settings you should know, you must be aware, and everybody is expecting these settings, at least from you, when you join any of the Azure administrator or cloud admin role to any organization. So yeah, it start building this virtual machine. So I will come back as soon as this deployment has been completed, and then we will move to the next step. So now our deployment has been completed successfully. Now the very first step is, let's go to the resource, because there are 2 or 3 things you need to first keep in your mind, that what changes you can find out after click that option during the creation under management, that whether this machine has been joined successfully or not. How could you find out? So the guys, very first thing is you have to go under extension of that virtual machine, and you can find out there's a new extension has been automatically installed during the creation of this VM. That is AAD login for Windows. That is the first thing. Second thing, on the same settings, same virtual machine, you can click on identity, and here you can find out whether it is joined or not. As you can find out, the status is on, and this is the object ID, role assignment, whether it is there or not. It's all currently not set, and we are going to do it manually. Apart from that, let's jump back to the Azure Active Directory again. And in Azure Active Directory, this time, when I click on devices, you can find out there's a new device has been already attached. And here, as you can see, every single information you can find, that what exactly the operating system is, what time it is joined, whether it is enabled, disabled, everything you can find. So it is enabled, yes. Second thing is, what is the operating system? Windows. Window like Azure AD joined, yes. Owner currently not. MDM is controlled. This is all about Intune system. Compliant or not, yes or no. So I think it's all been information there, but if you click on this virtual machine, you can find all sort of this information. And here you can find one more settings. If you want to disable, or if you want to remove this Azure AD join machine, you can simply click on disable. Or if you want to remove this machine from Azure AD join or from Azure AD, simply click on delete. I think it's pretty simple and straightforward, right? Okay, now just go back to the virtual machine, which we are going to go now. And here, to access this machine, I'm going to use public IP address. So here I copy it, and I'm going to use my application called Remote Desktop. This is currently on my machine. Here you can find out, and to access from my Mac, I'm going to click Add PC. You can use any of the remote desktop connection application for that. PC name is IP address, and what would be the password? Ask me during the connection. So just click Add. So this has been added. I just double click on this machine. It's asking me to type in the username and the password. So first I would like to show you whether we are able to access machine successfully or not. So I'm going to type in the default local administrator password, which we have created during the time of this machine creation. So click on continue, and it's asking me to just validate the certificate. I click continue. Password is somewhere wrong, so let me try again. HarshArena admin, I think it is the right one if I'm not mistaken. Let me just go back and try to find the information about reset password, because I think I'm using the right password. If yeah, I think let me just type HarshArena admin. So I think you are finding with me that how you can also manage your resources within Azure Virtual Machine. I think, and also you're probably very much aware about this setting, right? That how you can configure this. So let me just do it again, because it may take some time, guys, to type in. Or in fact, let me do one thing. Let me try again to log in one more time with the same password. So HarshArena admit. All right, let me try this time, because if we are not able to log in, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to reset my password. Yeah, I have to reset, and I will do it. All right, password has been reset. And this is really strange, guys. I always now forgetting passwords. I'm getting old. I have to take care of myself and try not to make videos in the night. It's 11:49 p.m., which is quite late for me. But no worries. I'm here to help you guys. So, all right, successfully has been reset. Now let me go back to my application and see if the reset password works for us or not. I think it should work because if it is not working, then I have to troubleshoot this as soon as possible to at least show you how this thing is working. I think it is working right now. Configuring remote PCs. Yeah, it worked. That's, guys. See, I'm not that old. I still remember the new passwords. Okay. So guys, as you can see, we have successfully logged in into this means username, but this username we have not been created in Azure AD. This is kind of local user or administrator, and obviously it can be logged in successfully as soon as machine has been successfully deployed, so which you already know. But the next thing is that how you're going to join your machine successfully. So guys, the very first step is you need to make this machine aware that it is connected to Azure AD. So usually in the hybrid environment, I would like to show you, in case you are using a hybrid environment, this step you have to follow, because it doesn't matter whether we are doing in Azure Virtual Machine or you're doing in a hybrid environment. Both steps are absolutely same. So what we are going to do here, we just simply click on settings. These are the steps you have to perform on hybrid client machines, and you would like to join this machine to Azure AD. Don't forget that, right? So click on all settings. And also guys, okay, in case you are running, I just remember that I should tell you something extra. If you are running this machine in a hybrid environment and you are not so sure because you don't have access of Azure AD, and you are not sure whether this machine is actually joined to Azure AD or not, how you are going to verify from the, from this machine itself. So guys, for that, let me share with you one command. So type cmd command prompt and make sure you logged in with the, run as a administrator. I just keep remember logged in with the, it's not Azure portal, it's a machine, right? So here, what you have to type dsreg cmd and then status. So as soon as you type this command, what it's going to do for you, it will tell you whether your machine is currently joined to Azure AD or not. Because how you're going to check and see, let me just make this maximize first. Sorry guys, I'm not able to do it. Bit tired. As I said, I'm a bit old, right? So this was the command, dsreg cmd / status. And here guys, you can find out Azure AD joined, whether yes or no, and you can find out it is yes. All right, and this is the name of the machine and all that, device name you can find out. So this is how you can identify, and here is the information that this is the software key registry entry where it can show you all the information, and these are the attributes which has been, or URL has been configured to verify the Azure Active Directory authenticity, all the key, because token has been exchanged between this machine and Azure AD. So that's how you can find out the information, and I think it is pretty easy, right? So I just remember that it would be good to show you about this command. All right, so next command, not command, what we have to do, if you are in a hybrid environment and you like to join Azure AD, you click on accounts. In accounts, obviously, the very first thing is your info. So we don't want to log in with the Microsoft account instead. Email and accounts, this is one step, but there's one more thing I would like to show you. If you click on access work or school, here it will show you connected to an Azure AD. If this machine is not connected to an Azure AD, it can show you connect to an Azure AD. So here you have to type in the information and then it will automatically connect. But if you want to disconnect this VM from Azure AD, you can simply click here and click disconnect. That's it. What it does for you, it will automatically disconnect your virtual machine from Azure AD. However, we don't want to do that now. Let's come back to email and accounts. And here, guys, we are going to add a work or a school account. And now I'm going to type HarshArena.in, which was logged in earlier part, but today we are going to use this Azure AD username, which is created under our own Azure AD. So just press enter and hopefully I remember the password because if I'm not, then I have to reset that password as well. Seems good to me. Hopefully, yeah. All right, guys. So if you are running a hybrid environment, you have to come here. And once it has been successfully done, then you can find out this HA@harsharena.in successfully connected with the Azure AD, right? This is just to give you one quick example. Now, let's try, because currently we are not logged in with the hj@harsharena.in. We are logged in with the local administrator. So what I have to do, let me just close this window first and let's try to do it again, because this time it is going to ask me a username. And now instead of local administrator, let's try to use our Azure AD username. So this is our Azure AD username and the password is, I don't want to tell you, this one. Let's click continue. If everything goes well, it will ask me to continue. Let's continue, and it's trying to configure. Now, you can find out this could not connect to the remote PC because your credentials did not work. The remote machine is AAD joined if you are using this work account and all that settings. Because why it is not working right now, guys, the troubleshooting here is, let me show you, to avoid this one. But again, we have to log in with the HarshArena admin. So here, all right, I think my password is correct. Click continue. Yeah, that's fine. Let's move forward. Okay, once we are connected, where we have to go, we have to disable network level authentication to successfully logged in Azure AD accounts. Now, how you're going to do it? Either way you can do, but let's go to all settings, which is similar settings right here. And then let's go to system settings. Where is system settings? Right here. Hopefully I remember the settings. Okay, here I think no, but let me just go back to user account, because I always confused. Usually I go to other settings. So let me try to access another way. Yeah, I think it's not desktop app setting. Okay, let me just go to another way. Guys, you will see how dumb I am, right? Okay, let's go to properties, and here, yeah, exactly, I would like to come here. I think it's in system settings, hopefully, and advanced system settings. This is where we have to come, and we have to come, where is the remote settings? Right here. So under remote settings, by default, allow connection only from computer running remote desktop with the network level authentication. Just disable it. Apply. Okay, that's it. That's all you need to do to avoid that setting. And let us confirm whether we have done the correct troubleshooting or not. Let me try again with the Harsh or HJ, HarshArena.in, and there's a password. All right, I typed the correct password, hopefully, and let's continue. All right, I think probably it goes to next step. Great. Wow. Your username or password is incorrect. Okay, that's fine. Let me just check again. Let's type it again. I think this time is right again. And okay, keep saying my username and password wrong. Okay. So this time you see that I moved to the next step after troubleshoot that remote settings. But guys, if you remember, there's one more setting we actually forgot, which is RBAC. Now to configure that, I have to go back to virtual machine, which is right here. And if you remember, during the creation of this virtual machine, it asks us to make sure we have to assign a role, right? Let me just close this one so it can be easy for you. Click add. Let me show you which role I am talking about. Select a role first. So guys, the new role is virtual machine administrator login or virtual machine user login. Both are fine with me. So I'm going to choose virtual machine administrator login, and here I'm going to choose HJ, which is my HarshArena login, because I want this user to be logged in into this machine. Click save. And in few seconds, we are ready to try again. Yeah, assignment has been completed. Now let's go back to our application for remote desktop, try again. And this time I'm going to choose HJ HarshArena.in, right? And this is the password. Continue. Continue. Validating, securing connection. And we go to next step, which is right here. Okay. Again, it is showing us username and password is incorrect. So guys, sometime it should show you that this machine is not ready to access this and that, or like some kind of permission issue. So what you have to do, so you have to type Azure AD /, because this is the way you have to log in into Azure AD account. All right. Now let me try again with the password. And this time, hopefully, it will allow us to log in successfully, because if it don't, then again, I have to really recheck my username and password. But as you can see, it is showing me welcome HJ. So guys, to purpose here to mention about this device setting is because if you are not logged in correctly within the Azure virtual machine, it could show you different kind of errors, and based on those errors we have to go step by step to troubleshoot it. And I think these guidelines are really good and enough for you, because now you already know, in case you find any one of them, any error, I mean any one of them which we just discussed, so it will be easy for you how we actually resolve those issues, because I don't want to make a separate video. That's how I like to show you in a step-by-step guidelines how to successfully logged in with the Azure AD on this virtual machine. And I think we have successfully done it right here, right? Okay, so now let's move to the third and very important today's topic, that is app management in Azure Active Directory. Now guys, we have a very last topic of today, that is Azure Active Directory app management. Now this is also a very, very important topic in terms of Azure Active Directory, because most of organizations are using this feature. Obviously, when we talk about the app management, we specifically talk about Azure Active Directory application management, which means that we are running some application, and when we want to use single sign-on feature within those applications, we have to use this specific feature. Now, what does it mean to you about single sign-on, right? So first of all, you know that already about Azure Active Directory, that this is the place to store all of the information about your digital identities Which means if you remember in just device management, I show you via command that there are some kind of token has been exchanged in between machine and Azure AD. Similarly, when the token, when the security keys has been exchanged in between application and Azure Active Directory and allow your users, your Active Directory, Azure Active Directory users successfully in those applications, that is all about app management. The another advantage of using app management, which is obviously it's a cloud-based, that means you can integrate your AAD feature, or SSO, which is single sign-on feature, to any other application so that your Azure AD users can sign in successfully, although they are running in Azure and you are using application for, let's say, Dropbox, Salesforce, or Adobe Creative Cloud, any other application. It is just fine to log in with your own username from your Azure AD. Now, what advantages you can get using your app management? Obviously, first I already show you, or at least I mentioned already, single sign-on within those applications. Now, as an example, in this picture, you can find I have Azure AD, and in this Azure AD, I would like to log in like Android application. So currently this Android application is completely based on third party or using some other custom application as an example. Now what I want is whenever this application I run on an Android application or Android platform, it should show me Azure AD SSO login information, so that when I click on that, it will allow me to ask my username from my own tenant or from my own Azure Active Directory management, or usernames I have created or users I have created. So as soon as I type in my username, it should be logged in successfully. Now this is the best classic example I can give it to you, but don't worry, I'll show you that how you can use your single sign-on logged in into third party or some other applications successfully. And what are the things you need to keep in your mind while configuring those settings? Along with that, obviously it allows you to reduce your cost, and governance and compliance is another advantage of using it. But let's first talk about reduce cost, because instead of directly buying, purchasing users from third party, let's say we are talking about in specific at the moment, Salesforce. So we have Salesforce 250 users can be created in a free trial account, but after the trial account finished, I have to purchase more license or more subscription to manage my resources. And let's say I have 10,000 and more than that, but I have to create another username and the password under Salesforce. All right. Obviously, I don't want my users gonna be confused by logging into Salesforce account, because right now I give two different username and password to them logged in, because if they are logged in into Azure, so they have to use AAD accounts, and if they are logged in into Salesforce application or into the web application, or at least in the browser, they have to log in with the Salesforce account. Now what I want using app management is combined all these two different applications to sign in only and only with Azure AD. To achieve that, we have to follow some settings on both sides, not just one side, on both sides, and then you can configure that setting. And obviously it allows you to reduce your cost because you are not configuring and creating additional users. So cost of network, or networking, because if you are running in Azure AD, so networking also you have to pay the money for that. I told you we are running. So yeah, just remember, we are running CapEx or OpEx. Think about it and give the answers by yourself, because such questions comes around you whenever you give any examination. However, that is all about reduced cost on a user part, but governance and compliance, because you can manage all of that from one place, that is Azure AD. If password has to reset, if anything goes wrong from Azure AD, so you have the complete access and the Azure administrator can take care of that. So that is all about governance and compliance. And additionally, if you have developers, guys, you can take even more advantages of building an application where you can add more features, more facilities to your user. So this is the best example I can give it to you right now, and I hope it gives you some sense to understand more about app management. Let me give you one more time. There are two different kind of possibility in app management. One, enterprise applications, which means there are some application which is already running, and these are enterprise applications. Another one, where we required app registration. It means you are running a custom based, means you are running with a developer, and developer creates the whole application for you, and there you have submit your application to any local host on premises application. That's I called in-house application. So in that scenario, you have to configure under app registration. I will show you in Azure AD. But if you are running any application like Dropbox, Salesforce, and you want to combine all of these applications with Azure AD, then you have to choose enterprise application place. Don't worry, I'll show you. And once again, the purpose is single sign-on is the topmost feature where everybody like to use. And I give you one more information, guys. This is the classic example or advanced example of ADFS, because in the past, when we talk about Active Directory, we have in fact right now ADFS. So what developers need to do, they have to create an application and deploy that application with the help of ADFS, so that whatever the users are running in Active Directory can easily logged in within those applications. And the full name of ADFS is Active Directory Federation Services. Actually, I have created very long time back in 2011 or 12, I believe, one ADFS video. It's a long old video, but if you like to see, because you cannot find the same kind of level, but I think it's good to understand about ADFS. So you can definitely follow that video, because I also covered practical about ADFS in that. But this is just for those people who wants to gain knowledge. So here, few things has been done automatically for us. We just need to follow the right step and achieve our goal. So guys, to make you better understand, let's jump on Azure portal and do some practical, and I'm sure it's gonna be really, really helpful for you. Okay guys, I'm so excited to share this practice with you because it's one of my favorite, and when I configured this for my first time, I was so much happy and got a smile on my face. So the same thing I would like to share with you, that how I have actually done an enterprise application configuration with Sso using Microsoft Azure Active Directory as an identity. So guys, to make you understand, first let me give you the difference between app registration and enterprise application. So to understand this more, let's go to Azure Active Directory. In Azure Active Directory, here you can find out two settings. One, enterprise application. This is right here. And if you go back to default directory, and other one is called app registration. So one thing I would like to tell you here, this app registration place is used to register your in-house application, which means you sit with developer and they helped you to configure those application and set up within the on-premises or in-house server. But remember again, if you want to register and use with Azure Active Directory, you must connect it your Active Directory, means on-premises Active Directory, with Azure Cloud, Azure Active Directory. And once they are connected with Azure AD Connect, the synchronization has been completed. Then only you can start, claim your tokens and, sharing your information with each other, so that you are able to register your application successfully in this place. But when we talk about enterprise application, it is similar thing. The only thing, these application has to manage by either other application, either by other services. As you can see on my screen, you can find out some of these application belongs to Office 365, like Exchange Online, Management APIs, SharePoint Online, Outlook, Sky for Business Online, right? These services or these applications are actually connected with Office 365, although they are also based on Azure AD, but consider them as a separate service, right? So these applications are connected with enterprise application. Now, how single sign-on can be configured? Because right here, if you can see, I have another directory. I can use it, or in fact, when I try to log in Office 365 portal, it also allow me to show single sign-on information where I can review my both Office 365 user account as well as Microsoft Azure account. As soon as I click, it automatically sends the notification to logged in. So it's all about single sign-on, or you can configure single sign-on in between Office 365 and Microsoft Azure. However, to make you better understand, today we are going to talk more on enterprise application. But to do this practice successfully, guys, I am not going to use Microsoft Azure. So sorry about that. The reason why is because I have tried and tested this practice, because to connect with enterprise application, which we are going to do as a practice today, it asked me to have a license with Exchange Online. And Microsoft Azure does not recognize Exchange Online. So we have to go to Office 365 portal, where I already mentioned to you that Office 365 is also based on Azure AD. And there we can find Azure AD and configure our enterprise application. So guys, I'm going to jump in Office 365 portal, which I am already open. And here's the detail. So I have to purchase 2 licenses for my user to do this practice. One is Danny Grasso, another is HarshArena, which is right here. And to start with the practice for app registration, or in case I can say enterprise applications managing. So we have to click on Azure Active Directory, which is right here, right? So under admin centers, you can find Azure Active Directory. Click on this. It will take you to the another portal. Now, this is what I was talking about. So log in with my account, so which is right here. And as it is SSO login, so you can find it is successfully logged in without any issue. All right. Now, to start with the practice, you also need one more service called Salesforce. At the moment, I'm going to use Salesforce. Now, why I choose Salesforce? There are 2 advantages, or 2 things for me. Number 1, when I click on enterprise application, the similar and the same kind of screen you are looking at the moment, which I showed you in Microsoft Azure, right? The another thing is just start with a new application, because what we are going to do, we are going to enable single sign-on in between Microsoft AAD and Salesforce. All right. So click on new application. In new application, there are pre-designed or configured applications are available, which means the settings are pretty easy, straightforward. Just need to follow step-by-step guidelines, and you are able to reach to your desired outcome. So Microsoft has an official website for it. I think it's called AKA. I think so. It's something like aka.ms/app registration or app accounts, something like that. But anyway, you can simply search for enterprise application registration documentation, and you can find some of them. However, we are going to find out Salesforce here. And on the right hand side, as you can see, we have Salesforce, right? So click on this, and you can give the name of the Salesforce, HarshArena app. I think it's pretty simple. I don't want to mention Salesforce. And here is, guys, sorry about the face. I don't know who is this. Okay, so what you can do, you can also find out this documentation. Let me open in the link for you, because that's exactly I mentioned. Microsoft also introduced step-by-step guideline how you can configure these settings. And similarly, lots of application you can find. Saba Cloud, Saba from A to Z. I mean, all of these applications you can find settings, and it would be really helpful for you to configure your application successfully. However, at the moment, just click on this Salesforce as an example, and HarshArena app, I give the name. I click create, and this will take some time, guys. It may take, sorry, I don't want to click on this. It may take some time, and as soon as it is completed, you can find this enterprise application under, oh, I don't want to click at the moment because edit's gonna be finished. So yeah, it's been automatically created, and right now we are here. Pretty simple, just click, give the name, and job done. So obviously there's some of the settings. If you talk about these old settings one by one, properties, what is the purpose of application ID, I think we can have a discussion another day on that, because this video is already longer, and I want you to teach how you can practice your settings for that. All right. So guys, the main purpose of this practice for the app management or enterprise application is to configure single sign-on. That's it. So for the best practices, what you can do, and don't forget this application ID, object ID, because if you are running a in-house application creation with the help of developers, you need to use this application ID and object ID. Remember that this is very important, and also the name. So at the moment, we would like to configure single sign-on. So what you can do, just click on single sign-on, and this single sign-on could be like disable. Obviously, you want to disable single sign-on if it is not enabled, and password based. I don't want password based. I don't want linked. I want SAML, which is mostly used by most of different identifiers. I will show you what is the meaning of identifiers here. So click on this, and this is also mentioned in the official documentation as well. So guys, here's an identifier. So first we have to give the identification or identifier entity ID from another application, which is our Salesforce for today. So how you can identify, just click on edit. On the right hand side, there are a couple of things you need to mention manually. So it would be star, or you can give the name of your, whatever the subdomain name under Salesforce application. So guys, I have created a free trial account for Salesforce, and it is valid for me for 90 days. You can also do it by your own to do this practice, because you can find all sort of information free of cost. You don't need to spend any money. So click on Salesforce, and this is the page because I logged in with my account. And if you can see, this is my complete name, which is HarshArena.lightning. Lightning is replaced by Salesforce dot whatever the name, what was the name? Salesforce.com, right? So this is name, this is the domain name I have to give there. HarshArena.my.salesforce.com, right? So I copy this and paste here. So I have to give, because I created my Salesforce account with the name of HarshArena. You can create by your own, but just keep in your mind, choose wisely, because don't make any mistake, and give the same name. This is identifier, and also you need to make sure reply URL. Now this is the default reply URL, which is the destination one, where it is going to be like redirect if it goes to. So it is going to the same URL, which is https HarshArena mysalesforce.com, and similarly sign in URL as well, because this is the same sign in URL too, because if I like to sign in, I need to say this information. So guys, if I like to show you something about sign in, because if I go to my another browser, which is, as an example, let's say Brave. Guys, this is I'm a little bit impressed with this browser, and I like it. Farmer protest. Sorry. Because guys, as you can see, I simply type harsharena.my.salesforce.com, and you can see there's only information, username and the password. Now this username and the password must be login from Salesforce. There is no Azure Sso, right? So this is what we are going to achieve, that it should show us Azure Sso here. Okay, now let's go back, and what we have to do, once you type all those of information correctly, So simply save, because this is the most easiest example I can give it to you to explain about single sign-on feature. Now, in the past, or if you work with any developer, you have to spend some time configure a few things, right? So for reply URL, you have to just click on this default reply is missing, although I mentioned, but it just need to review again and update it successfully for us. Now, it has been updated. Second step, where the username is going to be user.given name, or it could be surname is user.surname or user.mail. So these settings could be configured, and you can add more attributes if you are using custom based attributes for your application. At the moment, I'm going to leave it alone and without any touch on this thing. Now, important thing is about SAML signing certificates, that this is the federation metadata URL, guys, that it is belongs to my application. Now, this is the application ID, which is just created, this one, application ID. And in this app ID, there's a federation ID. Let me just show you federation ID. I think this is my federation ID, hopefully. So guys, this is my 76C88815. This is related to my Azure ID, right? This 8200DE. Now this is my Azure AD configured, or my default account configure, which is going to be used whenever somebody like to log in with harsharena.my.salesforce.com, because you know that in the organization people marked such Salesforce kind of a website. Just click on that, type in Azure Sso and logged in, right? So to configure with this, what we have to do, we have to now download Federation Metadata XML. Now it is going to use a lot to us. Also guys, one more important things in the fourth step, as you can see, Azure AD browser extension is currently do not show anything, right? But in your case, when you're doing for the first time, you can see you have to install it manually. So install it, because here, if I go to extensions, or simply I click on the extension part, here you can see you have my app secure sign in, this extension. So guys, you have to enable this extension with your Azure account or Office 365 account. Remember that. Once you enable it successfully, it will show you there is no required to install it again, because it is already installed. Okay, remember this. You have to do it, and you can do that. Another urgent and important information, that in this metadata file which we just downloaded, guys, there are three kind of information: login URL, Azure AD identifier, and logout URL has been mentioned, which is going to be redirect to Azure AD to verify that you are successfully logged out from your URL when you go to Salesforce. Now, this is the only setting you have to take care of from Azure side or Office 365 side. Now let's go to Salesforce. Now to enable the settings, what we have to do, we have to click on settings on the right hand side, click on setup. Now guys, when I check with different application, Salesforce suggests us to configure identity within the settings. Otherwise, other application you need to purchase Pro, or you have to sign up for the Pro, and there's no trial about that. So that's why I think it would be a good practice for you if you choose Salesforce for an example, because you have 90 days to do these all practices. So guys, under settings, to configure SAML identity, just go to identity, because what we are going to configure, single sign-on. And here's a single sign-on settings. So as soon as you click on single sign-on settings, now obviously, as you can see, it is currently SAML enabled. It is currently not checkmarked. So very first step, we have to enable this. So click on edit and click just on SAML enabled. Click save. So what we are going to do, we are authorizing Salesforce to use SAML enable identity. Now, in the next step, you have to configure SAML single sign-on settings with it, which is obviously you can also do it from metadata, because we have downloaded the metadata file from Azure application. If you forget this step, just go back to your Azure application, and here in the end, Federation Metadata XML. So you have to download this file. Now, just new from metadata file, click on this. And here it will ask you to just give the link. Where is your metadata file? So click on this, go to downloads, and here HarshArena app, because this is what the metadata we have downloaded. So just open and automatically click create, and it automatically recognizes all of the information and update it here. You should give the name Azure SSO, right? Because API name is STS REST, you should leave default because there is no required you need to set, because it has to be verified from Azure SSO, not from self-signed Salesforce certificate. Remember that step as well. And this is the login URL which has been configured automatically from that metadata file. Okay, so if everything looks good to you, so just click save, because as soon as you click save here, what it does, it automatically, you can find out login URL, logout URL, and OAuth 2.0 token, which is again the security token when it is gonna be automatically online. So this has been configured successfully. Let's go to company settings under my domain. Now under my domain, just go deep down, under authentication configuration. By default, it is standard and login form. Now this login form is from Salesforce. So click at it. Here, you can find out the application metadata. We just configure Azure SSO, right? Don't need to touch anything. Everything looks good to me because it is gonna show us Azure SSO now and what it helps us to log in with our user accounts. So click save. As soon as you click save, and obviously now what we have to do, we have to test our settings. So let's go back to our Office 365 portal, and here we have to click on test whether everything looks good or not. So yeah, that's fine. I would like to use it. So you like to use the current user or you would like to use another user, so it's up to you. So let me try with the sign in with the same user. So same user is this one or Harsh IT Professional. It's again up to me which user I would like to choose. As an example, I'm going to choose this one. Basically, this is for the testing, guys. And more importantly, what else you can find out? Let me show you something in another window, not here, because it is just checking and verifying this and that. And as you can see, it has been successfully logged in. So if you go back here, you can find out everything is fine. There's no problem, no error messages. It looks good. Or you can sign in with another username as well. But before this, let me show you something because I'm not able to show here. So for that, let's go back to Brave browser, right? Let me refresh again. And here, guys, can you see the difference? Can you see Azure SSO? When I click here, this is just an example. It will ask me, you can use another account. You can use same account. So another account in my Azure portal is, let me just go back my account, which is Danny Gresso. So this was another user I have created. Let me copy that. So if I know the password, guys, I can log in with my Danny Gresso, and it can allow me to log in successfully because we are using single sign-on, right? So type in. So I think you get my point. This is how you can test and log in with your username and the password. And I'm sure you won't find this much difficult. I know settings are very less, but it would be give you great idea because this identity feature is greatly appreciated in Salesforce free account because you can check and see those settings. So guys, that to be all for today. And I hope you find this session quite helpful and informative and you learn something new from this session. And guys, please take care of your health and everybody health in your family because I'm keep concerned and tensed about today's, I heard about the news that how many people are currently affected by COVID. So guys, please take care of your health and keep learning and try to do better and better day by day, because if you have time and you are at home, you can take more advantage of using extra time if you can spare some extra time. So I request and recommend you to keep practicing, and if you need to sign up for Office 365 free account, please do it, because it allows you to do these more practices. And I highly recommend we are doing, guys, Azure 104 or AZ-104 certification. And without these practices, I really don't think so you will be a good administrator, Azure administrator, I mean, or cloud administrator. So please do these practices. And if you find any trouble, if you find any issues, we can have a discussion. I also share my contact number. You can definitely contact me over WhatsApp anytime you want, or you can connect me over LinkedIn or HarshArena comments, anywhere you want. I'm more than happy, because I don't want to hide anything, or I don't want that you guys gonna be disturbing so much, because your love is everything for me. So guys, once again, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you find this video helpful and informative. I will see you in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye. Peace. God bless you.